Okay, so if you've been outside really, I don't know, anywhere in the last few years, and you've come across any person in the last few years, you've probably noticed that it seems like everybody is wearing max cushion shoes of just about every ilk, from like walking, running, casual, basketball, max cushion insert, everything. Max cushion is just the phrase of the decade, it seems like, in terms of footwear. And now that we're getting more and more research out there, it seems like the trust me bro type culture and the research on, like the actual research on max cushion shoes are really at odds. And there seems to be a lot of real misunderstandings on max cushion shoes, what they are good for, who they are good for, what the risks are of them, and like who should actually be in them, because there is a huge split in what they are good for and what they are really bad for. And so in this video, I wanna go through what I think are the biggest lies about max cushion shoes on both sides of the equation, and really give you an understanding of if they're actually good for you in your specific situation or not. Let's get into it. Okay, so the first lie, which I think is the most intuitive and counterintuitive of all of them, and honestly, probably the most important one of all of them, is that max cushion shoes don't necessarily mean that they are maximum cushion shoes. I know that sounds kind of weird, but it really depends on what you're using the shoe for. There has been a lot of really good research out there that has shown that at higher speeds, like when you're actually running in a max cushion shoe, and in higher speeds, a maximum cushion shoe actually increases ground reactive forces, or peak loading, peak impact on your joints, 10 to 12%. That's a lot. Right now, that's mainly due to the fact that a max cushion shoe decreases proprioception, or your body's ability to know where your foot is in space. And so your leg starts to tense up because your toes start to tense up, they start to grab the ground, or what they perceive as the ground, because you're not getting that information from the ground. So when your leg stiffens, all the cushion that's in the shoe gets kind of negated by the stiffness in your leg. So the shock that is going up your leg really doesn't have that smooth impact, that smooth gait cycle, so that your body can naturally dissipate shock. Remember, shoes are kind of like spitting in the ocean to your body, right? Your joints, the muscles, the legs, your whole kinetic chain is much more efficient at absorbing shock than any shoe could be at higher speeds, right? At actual marathon distance, right? Marathon speeds, running speeds, even casual running speeds, right? And those issues in the larger joints of your leg aren't exclusive to running. There's actually been some studies that have shown that if you have knee deformity, that a max cushion shoe in someone who has knee deformity and instability can actually exacerbate that. Now a reason for that is because proprioception, right? You're higher off the ground. A lot of max cushion shoes also have very, very soft foam. So a lot of times your foot everts, which means it kicks out, right? Flips up more, so it puts more strain a lot of times on the plantar fascia, Achilles tendon, hamstrings, knees, things like that. If you don't have those problems, like I said, we'll get to that in a second. The other thing I just said is softer foams, right? Some max cushion shoes have a lot more of a dense foam, stronger setup. And so in those cases, sometimes where the shoe is stronger, a little bit more stable, those risks start to go down. So it also then starts becoming foam dependent. Now, as the speeds become slower, the benefits of a max cushion shoe get higher. So if you're someone that's wearing them for, let's say you're, physician like myself, a nurse, like, someone that's just standing and sitting all day, or just standing all day, what max cushion shoes have also been shown to do is redistribute what we call plantar pressure better in the foot. Now, that really helps out someone that maybe has a hot spot on their heel or in the forefoot. The research a lot of times shows that in the forefoot, max cushion shoes, if you're prone to forefoot pain, really can help because it just distributes that load, right, further out into the shoe versus a lower cushion shoe where you can start to get peak pressures, right, under kind of like the triad of spots here, heel, under the ball of the foot, and under the lateral ball of the foot. And so if you're someone that is more getting issues with foot pain from standing all day, you need a casual shoe, then a maximum cushion shoe has been shown in the research to actually redistribute that pressure and lower the risk of stress fractures in the foot, Achilles tendonitis, plantar fasciitis, things like that. And so it really depends what you're using them for, because I see a lot of people say like, oh, you're gonna destroy your knee if you wear that shoe out. Well, if you're wearing it to the mall, no, you're not. If you're wearing a really floppy shoe and you've already had a knee issue, right, maybe you've already busted an ACL, then yeah, that might be the case, but you just you can't put that label on every use case. And so for that first lie, it's kind of both. The people that are saying, oh, these max cushion shoes are just gonna destroy your knees, destroy your ankles. They might in some people for certain situations, but for other people, they're not. Remember, there's always gonna be a trade-off. For some people, for certain issues like foot issues, they're gonna be really good. Some people are not. So you just kind of have to find the trade-off. Are you wearing them for long distances? Do you have pre-existing knee, hip conditions, things like that, instability in the leg? If you do, then maybe, get a more traditional cushion shoe. If you don't, and you're wearing them like me for work, this is the one I'm wearing right now at work, the Structure Plus. For me at work, I'm never walking more than, 10 steps, right? From a chair, go to the front desk, back. And for me, this has been the very best thing for me. I've loved these. I've also been wearing these as well. And so for me, it's fantastic in terms of someone that's maybe running more and more than I am, then maybe not. Now, the other big lie that piggybacks off of that is with max cushion shoes is what you see on the outside is what you get on the inside. A lot of times that isn't true. If you look at any of these three shoes, yes, what you see on the outside, these are just chunky max cushion shoes. Then you look at some others, like in the On category where big chunk on the outside, and there's a plate right underneath your foot. Now these ones, this is the second iteration of the Cloudmonster. It actually has a little bit of cushion here. But in the one iteration, you're standing right on this plastic plate. So yes, there's all this foam under there, but what does it matter if your foot is touching this plastic right away? It's gonna be a hard, rigid plate. There are also some shoes, and I use this one because this is my absolute favorite shoe of all time, the Gel Cumulus 27. Looks like there's all this foam back here. Nope. That's just a foam wall, right? That's just a stability wall. Yes, there's a lot of foam back here, but not nearly as much as you see on the outside. So just remember, sometimes in the shoe, either there's not as much foam as it looks like on the outside, and sometimes what's on the inside might be a little bit more unforgiving than what you've got, than what you see on the outside. Now the next lie is the one I saw firsthand at the airport just recently. I saw a guy trying to race walk to his gate wearing the Nike Vaporfly 4. Now, I'm sitting there and it's a big concourse, right? So I could watch him kind of go all the way down. During the course of his race walk to his gate, basically, I saw him roll his ankle, 4 or 5 times. Easy. Probably bought them because they were expensive and he had seen them on TV and he's struggling with his bags everywhere and he's rolling. I hear him, ah! And I wish I would have thought to take my phone out to video his feet. Obviously not him, that'd been kind of mean, but it was just, I was delirious. I was delayed 11 hours. I just didn't think to, try to get in there and zoom on this guy's feet. But it did make me think that a lot of people conflate maximum cushion with maximum support. Now, you could make the argument that a shoe like the Vaporfly 4 isn't even max cushion, it's max energy return. Right, but I think people kind of, they lump all these shoes in the same category. But remember, a max cushion shoe, maximum support comes from the density of the foam, the shank or the plate that's in the midfoot, if there is one or not, but more importantly, the shape of the shoe. If you look at something like the Vaporfly, right? Look at the rear foot, look at the midfoot. Look how narrow this is, right? The forefoot isn't narrow, there's a huge landing pad here. Why is that? The shoe is meant to be worn as a forefoot striking racer type shoe, right? And that's why it's got the pre-bent plate in the forefoot, all the foam in the this whole thing is meant for a forefoot striker, right? And that's what these are made for. Now, if you look at a shoe here, like the Vomero Premium, this would look like a really unstable shoe, except for the fact that the rear foot and midfoot is super wide. And so when I got these on, plus the tension in the air actually really keeps the shoe more stable than you would think, I thought I'm gonna take this shoe out of the box and it's just gonna be horrid. And it wasn't, it was really surprising. And so it just goes to show you that what maximum stability comes down to is usually it's the width of the rear foot, right? Because you can actually have a shoe with pretty soft foam and not a super supportive shank or not one at all, and still have a pretty darn supportive shoe if the shaping is correct. And it comes down to density of foam too. Like I said, a lot of these shoes, you look at the foam setup in them, and it's just, especially here, this here, you got ZoomX on Air, on ReactX. It's the same setup as this, right? Pegasus Premium versus Vomero Premium. The only difference between the two of them is the shaping, right? And the containment of the two Zoom pods. And so when you're looking for maximum support, look for density, look for shank, look for shape. So another lie I see, which actually it isn't a lie, it's more of just a half truth, right? Or it's an overgeneralization, is that max cushion shoes are going to ruin your feet. They're going to give you bunions and hammer toes. And largely that comes from, more of the barefoot shoe community, which is interesting because if you talk to some people in the quote unquote barefoot shoe community, there are people that advocate for maximalist shoes, for max cushion, because they believe that, early humans were walking around on sand and really, really soft surfaces. And so to recreate that, you need something with a max cushion. There is a growing chorus of those people out there too that think shoes like this, right? Max cushion shoes, maybe no air on them, but max cushion shoes are actually the real barefoot shoes. Now, to me, there is a case for that because if you are someone that's more prone to instability, maybe you don't have the best proprioception, you got functional ankle instability, maybe you're somebody with a really hypermobile flat foot and your tendons are always straining to get stability or to get, so you don't sprain or strain one way or the other, then yes, I could see if you keep having to claw your toes down to get stability, then over time, yeah, you're gonna wanna claw more for sure. And you could end up with claw toes. Remember, claw toes and hammer toes are two different things. I can get into that in another video, it's beyond the scope of this. But what people don't understand is people can get those problems from barefoot shoes too. So a lot of times with barefoot shoes, if people are using them to play side-to-side sports like tennis, like basketball, pickleball, things like that, badminton, a lot of times those barefoot shoes do not hold the midfoot in as well. And in side-to-side sports, we know that the midfoot is one of the most important parts of that shoe. And a lot of times if the midfoot is unstable, you'll start to see people claw on their toes. And so in a barefoot shoe, you'll start to see people develop claw toes, right? Which look a lot like hammer toes. And so it completely defeats the purpose of that barefoot shoe. And so in some instances, yes, if you're unstable and you can't, and you've got those issues, then maybe, yeah, you shouldn't be in a barefoot shoe, right? It's the same with some other types of footwear, which we'll get to in other videos beyond the scope of this. But it's an overgeneralization. If you're someone that is just using this as a casual shoe, right? Standing, sitting, nursing, warehouse, maybe you're a waitress or a waiter, physician, nurse, whatever, it's things like that. That you're just, you're working a desk job or going out to eat or whatever. Like I said, you're not going to encounter the instability to have that be an issue. But using them for more sporting things, yeah, for sure. You can definitely cause those, but remember, you can also cause toe issues in a barefoot shoe too. Okay, so this next lie, honestly, I think is pretty well-meaning. I don't really think there's anything malicious by it, but I started seeing it pop up more and more and more in my comment sections. And it's once again, it's more of an overgeneralization, but I think it can get some people into some issues. And that is that if you're wearing a maximum cushion shoe, you don't need orthotics. Or this also lends itself to if you're wearing a maximum stability shoe, you don't need orthotics. Now, there are some people that just don't wear orthotics, they don't like them, they don't need them. Okay, throw those people out the door. We're not even talking about those people. These people that wear orthotics because they need them for some issue. Now, people could wear orthotics for a bunch of different reasons. Plantar fasciitis, foot issues, knee issues, back issues, all sorts of foot ailments, right? Arthritis. I mean, there's a million different things, right? There's also people that would wear orthotics like these just for shock absorption. Now, if you've got a shoe that's got maximum shock absorption, let's say you've got one that's got super dense, dual layered foam, big old shank, right? And all you want is shock absorption, that's really all you're looking for, then maybe you don't need an orthotic in that one, right? Maybe the shoe helps. The orthotic is still gonna help. But remember, orthotics and shoes, that they're working on two different things, right? They're meant to redistribute pressure along the plantar surface of your foot. Shoes are not contoured enough to do that, no matter if it's maximum stability or not. Even shoes with the biggest arches in them, honestly, don't really come close to what an orthotic does. Some do, but obviously they're gonna wear down really quick, right? Because it's just foam. An orthotic that has any bit of a functional component to it, whereas it's trying to aid in the biomechanics of your foot, is going to have to contour your individual foot shape somehow, some way. A shoe just can't do that. Remember, shoes are meant to capture the biggest area of the bell curve of the population, right? Which means they're not gonna be too high, they're not gonna scoop too low, they're gonna be pretty flat, most of them. And so an orthotic is going to do the things that a shoe cannot. It's going to capture the arch, it's gonna capture the heel, it's gonna create a heel cup, it's going to allow the forefoot to drop or your big toe. There's all these different things what a shoe just cannot do. And so a maximum stability shoe might help prevent things like ankle spraining, over eversion, but it's not going to correct for the minute little biomechanical issues that an orthotic will correct for. If you're just looking for cushion or stability from an ankle sprain, yeah, I mean, are you just looking for a little bit more pronatory control? Then yeah, sometimes a shoe can do that, but put it this way, we're talking apples and oranges here. So no, in terms of you need orthotics, you'll need them in a max stability shoe versus a wobbly shoe. And honestly, you could make the argument that an orthotic is gonna do less in a super wobbly shoe, or a super soft shoe, because there's not a stable base the orthotic can be put on, so the orthotic won't even be able to do its job, right, on a shoe that's super floppy and wobbly. And so ankle spraining and just the raw over E version, sometimes yeah, but everything else, all those millions of little issues you could have in your feet, lower legs, back, hip, knee, all that other stuff, no. A shoe just does not have enough contour and enough customization in it to be able to do that. Okay, so those are the biggest lies that I found. I'd love to know if there's ones that you still think that I missed, or what your experience has been with Max Cushion shoes in the comments down below. Like I said, I think the biggest takeaway that you can come from this is that as a casual shoe and for specific foot pain, they can be a real asset. For people that are using them just because they see other runners using them, they could be a big detriment. I think that's kind of the biggest dividing line on these things. And the biggest thing is that there are a million shades of gray on this stuff, and that the research is still fluid. We're gonna be getting a lot more long-term research in the years to come. And who knows, this video might change as that research starts evolving. So like I said, love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you do want to see 2 Max Cushion shoes that I have just reviewed that I absolutely love and that I am actually wearing right now, make sure you click into either one of these videos up above, subscribe down below. I'll see you in the next video.